everybody. Welcome to Table Talk, a place for honest conversations and getting to meet friends. We are back. It's 2025, and Pastor Levi is kicking us off for this year.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thank you.
Always so much fun to get to hang out with you. And 2025, it's crazy that it's already February.
Yes.
And I know people felt like January was really long, but then all of a sudden, it just, the year's going. But so far this year, you've had your 1-year anniversary of Sagemont.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. It's gone by super quick.
Yeah.
But I've had a ton of fun.
It's been great. I think I said this to you before. It's crazy you've already been here a year, but at the same time, it feels like you've been here.
I gotcha.
You know, like both in a really good way.
That's right, I got you.
You know, it's like, well, yeah, Levi's here, but then you go, oh my gosh, it's just been a year.
Yeah.
Time's weird.
It is weird. Yeah. But, you know, staff is great, so we've had an awesome opportunity to all hang out and get to know each other, so that's been very helpful.
It's been good.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I enjoy about you is you have a very good pace. In the sense of even rolling stuff out or looking at things, and it's like it's slow, but it's still getting taken care of. And so that, as a staff person, and probably I'm sure just as church members, that's been fun to kind of just watch. Gotcha. And I know you've been purposeful with that. Yeah,
because that probably was not always the way I rolled. I was always pretty quick. Yeah. You know, so pastoring a couple churches prior to this, that does help.
You've learned.
Yeah, that's right.
Take things.
Not that I know it all, but
no.
Yeah, that pace is something that. Matter of fact, it's interesting to use that word because meeting with the leadership team, I think last Tuesday, I actually asked them, how do you feel like the pace is right now? Mm-hmm. Pace for the church, pace for the staff. And so we try to pay attention to that.
Yeah, because sometimes you're like, okay, let's get going.
That's right.
We can handle more. And then other times you're like, oh, let's go back and redo and look at it again. So I love that you're very purposeful with that. And another really cool thing in 2025 is we have so many new friends coming to Sagemont.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
It is so fun.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, every Sunday to get to see new faces, and probably a ton of you watching, this is your first time to ever see a Table Talk and being a part of all the different things. And the thing that's so fun on a Sunday morning is it's not just people coming in and sitting down and walking back out. They're going and asking questions, and how do I do this, and where do I get this, and how am I supposed to go here? So that's been really fun.
Well, I would say I think we've, as a staff, done a little better at making that more clear, right? So we're providing places for people to go to, so they're not wondering. It's like, okay, if I need to figure this out, I can go directly here. Yeah, and they're taking advantage of that.
They are. Yeah. It's really, really fun. And then so far in this year, you just finished up our Next Step series.
That's right. Yep.
That you did on Sunday mornings, which if you didn't listen to all of those, go back. You can catch them on the website or social media. You can find them. Why did you choose? Why was the thought to do that now? And what was the important? Like, if people didn't watch it, why would you say, "Hey guys, these are good ones to go back and look at"?
To go back to your pace concept. So, mission is describing with clarity what we do as a church. So, if you're a part of the series, I kept saying, "Hey, Sagemont, what do y'all do around here?" It's like, we help people take their next step following Jesus. Well, that wasn't just like we didn't just write that down a couple of weeks ago. Right. That's something we've been working on for at least 9 months, probably more than that. Longer. But I started specifically with our leadership team, kind of walking through the process of getting clarity on that, and then brought the rest of the staff in. I'm getting the answer to your question, why now? But that takes time. So then staff gets a hold of it. They kind of understand the mission statement as well as the strategy with the 4-step process, worship, connect, grow, and go. And then having specific strategic conversations with people throughout the church, lay leaders, deacon ministry, connect group leaders, all of our volunteer leaders. So there's a lot of people that we wanted to know what we were doing and where we were headed before I preached the series. Yeah. So the reason we chose January is kind of like, just to be honest with you, it's because a lot of people will just show back up at church in January. Right. Yep. And we'll do series typically like that in January. We'll do one right after Easter, and then we'll do one when school kicks back in August. So those are kind of the time frames. We'll press pause on whatever book we're studying and kind of focus in on something to try to hopefully speak to some who may be guests who are just like, okay, is this going to add value to my life? Not that the other wouldn't, but it's been a little more specific. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been really good. And I think one of the neat things I'm getting to see kind of across the church is with this series specifically focusing in on it. All of the different ministries are focusing in on it.
Sure.
And so it is becoming Sagemont language.
Yes.
Which is super great. I was doing something with a group of people this morning and said something about next steps, and they all kind of giggled and said, next steps following Jesus. And I was like, yeah. And so that's so cool that it's starting, to catch.
Take root.
Yeah.
So any kind of culture is built on language. So to build the right culture, you got to have the right language, and that helps. But I'd also say, that's our strategy, but I don't know if you've heard this phrase before, but culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Absolutely.
So the great thing about Sagemont is there's a phenomenal culture among the people. So they're in unity, in oneness. Doesn't mean we're all the same. Doesn't mean we all have the same opinions. But we're all confident that the Great Commission is what Jesus has called us to do. We've got a strategy now for that. And because there's such a good culture, that strategy is going to be able to survive as well as thrive moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So the different kind of next steps, we talked about worship, connect, grow, and then go.
Yep.
And those are kind of the discipleship pathway. Is that what we're calling it? The discipleship pathway of Sagemont Church is looking at those 4 things and where are you at in those 4 things. And I love next steps because, one, with that discipleship pathway, we know not everybody's coming in at worship and doing them perfectly in like this order. There's not an order.
That's right.
But the other thing I love about next steps is you have a next step. I have a next step.
That's right.
Like we never get to a place where we don't have a next step.
That's correct. Well, the beauty of it is, kind of the reason we go worship, connect, grow, go is because those are your 4 primary steps. And when you're kind of taking the larger approach of looking at the whole congregation, majority of people, worship will be their first step.
Right. That's the first thing they're walking into.
And then it will be connect. Yeah. So there will be others who will jump in at different, avenues, so to speak, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But so it makes it a little more easy to understand. But it's also not only a place for me able to gauge where I am in my walk with the Lord, but then I can help others kind of gauge where they are and then help them, which is what's so vital for every, not just staff member, but every single leader in our church, lay leader, volunteer, that you understand the strategy and that you're not just looking at it for yourself, you're looking at it for others as well. So you're actually helping them take their next step following Jesus.
And what's really cool, I hadn't really thought about this, but even if someone's time at Sagemont ends, they move, they go somewhere else.
Yeah.
This is a strategy just for being a disciple of Jesus.
That's exactly right.
It's not at Sagemont. It is for being a disciple of Jesus.
That's exactly
it goes
right.
with you.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus models that for us throughout the Gospels. And, I think I'm trying to remember which message it was. I think it was the Grow message, but talked about how Paul actually discipled Timothy. And what did he do? He taught him the importance of worship, connecting with others, growing and going. So it's all, very biblical.
Yeah.
which makes it good. Yeah, it makes it good. That's right.
We want that.
Yeah.
I think it's good just to actually kind of take that minute to zoom out and go, hey, this isn't just so Sagemont gets big or Sagemont. It's not about Sagemont. It's about the Lord and people's relationships. And it just happens to be that we are here at Sagemont and God gets to use this place.
Well, in that Matthew 28, when he says, go and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them all that I have observed. And then he says, and lo, I'm with you always, even to the end of the age. I think that is a special promise for the church that is involved in the Great Commission. So if we really want, God to look like, to say blessings on that church, well, he's looking for the church that's involved in the Great Commission. And that's what we want to be. We want to be a church that's actually blessable by God.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Amen. Love that. And as we're doing this, as I really do see God's blessing on Sagemont, which I have for years. It's cool to go back and see God's hands on this church for years and years and years. But right now, one way we're really seeing that is just numbers. People are coming. Our services are full. And in that, you eventually hit a problem with people are coming in, they don't find a seat and they're leaving. Or they're coming in the parking lot and can't find a parking lot and they're pulling back out. And so we have a thing coming to hopefully help with that. Hopefully help with that.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is super exciting and a deal.
Oh yeah, I think you're trying to draw me into saying it.
Listen.
That's right.
Yeah,
So basically, after Easter of this year, Lord willing, we'll start a third service, and the third service, we discussed this as well. Some of this is fresh because we just talked about it this morning.
Yeah.
It's not about just trying to make Sagemont large.
Right.
I mean, it really is trying to reach people with the gospel and help people take their next step following Jesus. So to your point, we are full, but we want to create more space, not just for people to show up to worship, but we want to create more space for people to get involved in connect groups.
Mm-hmm.
Connect groups are the lifeblood of the church. So we pour into those, we emphasize those, but then we also want to create space for more of those,
right?
Because that's where a lot of life change happens.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting. I will say it's also very difficult. It's not easy.
Sure.
But you back up Sagemont. I think it was about 30 years ago. Sagemont was just in one service, and at some point in time, they sat around the table and said, "We got to start a second service."
Sure.
And that was difficult. But then you started one, and the Lord blessed that. Mm-hmm. So this is not going to be easy.
Right.
There's going to be difficulty, and we're going to run into some coffee tables, as I like to say.
Sure.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But if we stay focused on the objective, which is helping people take their next step following Jesus, it's well worth a little bit of, hey, I can go at a different time or change a little bit, or even not preach as long. You know what I mean? Cut it down a little bit. She said maybe. Cut it down a little bit. So that's just
right.
But it's all for the Lord.
Yeah.
That's what we're going.
And I think it's the thing I love about it is one, this isn't starting Sunday.
Right.
And so there is time.
That's right.
We are inviting people into, hey, this is the plan. If you see a giant wall we haven't seen,
speak.
Please say something beforehand,
right.
And also, so hopefully people don't come and go, what?
That's right.
What do you mean there's no service at 9:30 anymore?
Yeah.
And so I think that's, again, with pace, and I love how you're leading through this, is let's tell people. Let's get the word out there. Make sure people know.
Let them know, and also just
on.
be very transparent about what it actually is going to take. So that was part of, I guess, this past Sunday's message when I just wrote the big number on the board. Here's how many new volunteers we're going to have to pull this off. And that was a big number. I think it was like 350, 360. Yeah. And thankfully, after Sunday, I think the number now that we have signed up for our Serve Summit is at 220 right now.
Oh, that's great.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Are you kidding? That's 220 people
crazy.
who aren't serving, who are like, I'll help.
I'll do.
Yeah. So they're going to come February the 23rd to that Serve Summit. And it's there. I'll talk briefly. I'm not going to get into, a really long Bible study on it, but briefly on spiritual giftedness, kind of help people understand, spiritual gifts, but then also give them an opportunity to take a little survey right quick that will help them understand a little bit more about how God has wired them, but then talk about their passions. What are you passionate about? And kind of my deal is like where your spiritual gift and your passions intersect, that's the sweet spot of ministry. So we want to help people find their sweet spot. Matter of fact, John Wooden, you ready for this? This is random. But John Wooden's great basketball coach, UCLA. Yeah, UCLA. And just, tons of national titles. But I feel like, have I talked to you about this before?
No.
Okay, all right. So he got his basketball team on the floor. He figured out everybody's sweet spot on the floor of the basketball court to determine where their sweet shot and shooting was. And then he designed all the plays to get those people in those sweet spots. Isn't that crazy?
That's really smart.
So it's like, all right, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Really on that serve. We're trying to find your sweet spot, and then we want to design the play for you to be in, so you can be serving in your sweet spot. Also, pretty cool. John Wooden. Now it's coming to my mind, but if he had a player on the court who shot the basketball out of the sweet spot, he put him on the bench.
Oh,
is that not crazy?
Wow.
Yeah, but that's how serious he was.
Which you could go down a ton of rabbit trails with that, because even if I'm in a different spot and I'm open, is it the right thing for me to take the shot?
That's exactly right. That's very true.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Jason, I have no idea.
What time are the services?
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, see, listen, people think it's just me and you in here.
Yes,
it's not.
Right. It's not.
We have the wonderful Jason Ryan, and he's trying to be so good about, y'all tell people what time the service is. But I had to totally break and be like, Jason, I don't know what you're saying. But it's okay because
so right now
comfy.
we're looking at the first service being at 9 o'clock, the second one at 10:20, and then the third one at 11:40. And so we're trying to look at a 60-minute worship hour, 60, 65 minute. That's kind of the time frame. And interestingly, we chose those times because anything that starts with an 8 on a Sunday morning is a hurdle.
Yes.
So 9 o'clock seems to be a little more palatable for people, and it doesn't seem so early. But then what's crazy is the way that we're looking at designing it, we're really not going to be on the campus any longer than we are right now. Mm-hmm. So there's some great benefit in that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. And I think, because I've even had to think about this, is with the shorter service time, we are going to have to sacrifice some things. Maybe a song, maybe a little extra preaching, maybe some different stuff. But it's one of those you go, but if it's for the good of the Lord and people come to know him, then we do that. We make adjustments. Connect groups will meet at those same 3 times.
That's correct.
There won't be 8 o'clock connect groups anymore. It'll be 9, 10, 20, and 11:40. Right. And so those are even going to be a little bit shorter than they are now. And so again, you make the adjustments. You make the adjustments. Yeah. And it'll be fine because listen, most of us that are in connect groups know the first 15 minutes is just hanging out and socializing. Right. So then it's almost a good push to go, okay, so we need to do that outside of Sunday morning, which is a great thing for our connect groups as well. That's very true. Yeah. Very true. So I think it's fun. It's fun to think about. I am the weirdo that I loves change. Do you like change?
I do, actually.
I love change. Yeah. I love shaking it up a little bit, doing things a little bit different. I was out of town this weekend in Kentucky.
All right.
Yes, and so I didn't see a service. Did y'all talk about which connect groups are which hours?
No, so you will get, this is free information here, but I think it's Thursday of this week, the whole church will get an email. It's a survey. The survey will actually encourage people to kind of open it up, and it'll ask them, what hour at worship do you look like you're going to attend, and then it's going to have all of our connect groups kind of laid out based on what those hours are, what connect group you're going to be in. If you have children, what hour do you feel like they're going to come in? What are their ages? So we're gathering all that data so that we can be better prepared, this Sunday after Easter.
Yeah, for what it's going to look like.
But that's coming out Thursday, and then I'll also mention it again on Sunday, and I can't remember if we're doing a QR code for that or not. But anyway, we're trying to do a survey to get as much info as possible.
That's great.
Just so we can make wise decisions.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that'll be great, again, letting people know, hey, your connect group is going to be at this hour.
Exactly right.
So you can plan ahead and be thinking about that.
Definitely.
So I love, again, we're not trying to hide things or do things and then be like, surprise. It's like, we are the body of Christ, the whole church. Let's do it together. Right. So I love that very much. So again, you can go back and listen to that sermon series if you missed any of them, like I did. You can go back and catch those, listen to those. They're super important. We encourage you to do that. And then this Sunday, moving forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Jumping back into John.
We're jumping back into John. And honestly, I feel like it's been forever since I've been in John because Christmas came. Mm-hmm. But I cannot wait. I mean, I've already got, I think, 4 sermons written for John chapter 8. And awesome passage of scripture talking about the woman caught in adultery this Sunday. And so I can't, honestly, that's kind of I feel it's a little more my speed, I guess, just to go verse by verse. And so I'm looking forward to being back.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. That's going to be a lot of fun. As we're going forward with third service coming, adding that, really looking at grow groups. So you talked about the third Sunday of the series, the grow portion. Looking at that, when you look at like the next 6 months at Sagemont, what are the things that you're like, oh, I can't wait to see how God moves in this area, or things that you're like jazzed about?
Well, I'm definitely excited about a third service, and I'm looking forward to that. I think it will be a stretch for our church body, but that's how you grow.
Don't you love it?
When I say grow, I'm not just talking about numbers. I'm talking about grow spiritually as well.
Yep.
So you got to trust the Lord in that. But then also with our grow groups, this will be the third grow group that I've led that I'm doing right now. So by that time, they should be They should already be out starting their own grow group, so I'll have another group, hopefully. But I'm super pumped about that as well. I mean, honestly, you asked me that. I mean, there's like a Rolodex of things that are kind of coming to my mind that I'm excited about. But I think if I had to back up and say what am I most excited about, I'm most excited about a clear mission and a clear strategy, Worship, Connect, Grow, Go, that people understand.
Yeah.
And they can actually get plugged into, and we can start seeing spiritual maturity. And really, that's the goal. We want the church to be healthy. We want followers of Christ to be healthy in their walk with the Lord. And all the growing stuff, the Lord takes care of all that.
Yeah,
so just focus on making sure everybody's healthy and walking with Jesus.
Yeah.
And He'll take care of the rest.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I also love that for the Sagemont body that's already here, that's already plugged in, this is your church home. If you've ever felt like, where do I serve, or where do I have a spot, or whatever? Everybody's there's a spot.
There's definitely a spot.
You're gonna have a spot to jump in, and even if it's just talking to the person sitting next to you.
That's right.
You know, and encouraging them, or hey, do you have a Connect group? Come with me to my Connect group.
Yeah. So you missed Sunday. Bill did something pretty awesome in between the worship of the singing and the preaching of the word. As he, we got to where we're shaking hands.
Yeah.
So he said, hey, I want everybody just to turn to the, shake a few hands, but then ask everybody, what Connect group do you go to?
Love it.
I was like, that was tremendous. Man.
Yeah.
So it gets everybody kind of understanding, hey, there's still a lot of people who haven't plugged in. Well, bring them with you.
Yes, just invite them to
right.
come with you. And I think that's a neat thing that the people in Sagemont are catching a part of. I'm not just coming and receiving.
There you go. That's right.
I am actively a part of this church and getting to do that. And that's really fun to see.
Definitely.
Which is awesome.
I agree.
So that's something you're really excited about. What would be something if somebody said, hey, Levi, how can I be praying for you right now? If our church, which they do, they want to be praying for you.
I think just continue to pray for wisdom, continue to pray for good pacing, continue to pray for God to bring us together in unity as a church family, to maintain that unity, and then pray against what the enemy would love to do, and that's destroy relationships. So he's going to attack, if I'm being personal here, he'll attack relationships between me and my family members, my wife, my kids, etc. And then he'll start attacking relationships of people who are on the staff. So he's always trying to drive a wedge between people. So we just pray against that. And if we have our eyes wide open on that, then we can actually not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the principalities of darkness. That was a lot of prayer requests.
That's good. I love it. That's perfect. Yeah. I know we have prayer warriors in this church,
definitely.
And they want to be praying, and so super glad. Glad you've been here a year.
Yeah, me too.
Looking forward to the next one.
Well, yes, ma'am.
It's going good. It's fun to get to see all that God's doing.
Ton of fun.
And listen, if you're not plugged in, there's a place for you. We want to help you. If you don't have a Connect group you're a part of, if you are looking to serve, come to Serve Summit. Go online, register for Serve Summit, Sunday, February 23rd, 4 to 6 in the student building. Register. This is if you aren't serving somewhere and you want to.
That's right.
Sign up for Serve Summit, and we will help get you connected and plugged in to a place where you can serve. There's just really great ways to jump in right now. So come and join us.
Yeah, and let me just add, you're doing an awesome job with our women's ministry.
Thanks.
And I continue to hear how tremendous you're doing. So just grateful for you and your leadership.
Lots of, I said, lots of good things. And people are excited, and so it's fun.
Right. That's right.
It's an exciting time at Sagemont. We're glad you are here and can be a part of it. We'd love for you to come and join us however you can. So thank you for hanging out, kicking off Table Talk 2025. Right. Listen, Table Talk comes out Thursdays at noon. And so you are this week, of course, right now. And then next, Chuck Davenport's going to be coming talking about Connect groups and grow groups. And we've got some other fun things planned for this year. So join us on Table Talk whenever you get a chance. So thanks for hanging out today, and we will see you next time on Table Talk.